Welcome, everybody, to Week 6, Episode 1515 of the Under Review Podcast. I am your host, Todd. Alongside me, or across from me, whichever way you want to see it, is
What's
my
up,
co-host,
brother?
Marty.
What's up, fans, listeners, viewers, chatters, and everything under and above?
Yeah, so, coming into Week 6, we got not a lot of games to run down. We got 7 again, like we had last week. We got those 5 teams that are on bye. We'll go ahead and run through those. That is Kentucky Wildcats, the LSU Tigers, the Mississippi State Bulldogs, the Oklahoma Sooners, and Texas Longhorns. All are on a bye this week. So as they get to rest up for their long SEC ahead, gives them a time, even though it is early, it's Week 6, it still gives them a break. Some of them have played vicious and roadhead games already. Some of them are about to jump into them after Week 6. But luckily, the way the new schedule is set up, they do get 2 byes, so this is just one of 2 for everybody.
Really, there's not a team that needs a bye week, but it's good to get your players rested up. I think the best people that can benefit has to be Mississippi State, just to see if they can even try to look out of the bottom of the barrel or anything, because Oklahoma and Texas, Kentucky, and LSU have played really well, or certainly well. Kentucky's a little on the struggle bus, but nothing a bye week can't fix, I don't think.
I would say Kentucky, even though they did play great last week and beating Ole Miss, just for Kentucky Wildcats to take a week and rest and watch more film is really just going to help their defense moving forward this season, for my perspective, because Kentucky, they're not a bad team. They can look like they're not a bad team. But, they got beat by Georgia by 1 and then beat Ole Miss last week. If Kentucky can, figure out the small stuff on offense, which is what a bye week's for, they could really improve their stock and their record moving forward with a slate of SEC games coming forward.
I really don't think there's too much help for Mississippi State, especially when they're fixing to jump in to shark-infested waters, as some people say. And then, LSU can work on small things. Oklahoma, they're doing it. Texas is still up high in the top 5 in the. Yeah, Texas is still Texas. I mean, when you've got that quarterback option in the backfield, you really don't have too many worries.
Right. So, as we said, this is Week 6, moving into our 15th episode, which is kind of, not big, but, we're just starting out. We're trying stuff. So, let's just move on to football this weekend.
Oh, there's stats. I can see.
Why isn't everything not working? Here we go. Number one. Hello. Alabama travels down to Vanderbilt at 3:15 on the SEC Network.
So first of all, let's jump into it. Your new number 1 team in the country is the Crimson Tide, and they most definitely deserve it. Their last couple of games have just been extraordinary. Their offense has really been on fire. A little bit of a struggle in that second half against Georgia, but they found a way to win. That 17-year-old kid down there, he's making plays. So they most definitely deserve that. And I think with this matchup here this week with Vandy, I don't want to say a test week for them, because Bama by numbers should come out and drill them. And hopefully Vandy can have a little life and have some drives that really gives them confidence. But I don't see this going any other way than Alabama.
I don't either. Alabama leads the alls.
Get it out.
Overall, there we go. Overall series at 60 wins, 19 losses, and 4 ties. And Alabama has won the last 12 meetings dating back to 1994, which you also got to think they haven't played a lot during that time, because Alabama being in the old-style West, Vanderbilt being in the old-style East, they'd play twice every 4 or 5 years or something like that.
Like you said, 3 or 4 years where they had the contracts flip back and forth. Yeah, it's just total domination from Alabama. But like we've always said, Vanderbilt has not had a very good program
in this time frame. So that's why the numbers are kind of lopsided. But again, it is Alabama. What would you expect any less from it?
But as we talked to Vandy's, this has been, for say, a bright spot since times past. They've really done a few things, won more ball games than we've already thought they were going to win.
Right. I mean, looking at the numbers at 92% in favor of the Crimson Tide, understandably.
Yeah, I'm going to take Alabama. That Jalen Miro is definitely a top 2 or 3 Heisman candidate, especially after the game against Georgia. Ryan Williams is still being electric for only still being in high school technically. I see Pavia here for Vandy. Maybe he can have a decent game, but for a decent game would be probably not 2 or 3 interceptions and less than 100 yards because he is Vandy's leading passer and rusher. So, again, you can try to make it any way you want to, but here it's going to be DeBoer and the Tide.
I agree. The UCF Knights travel down to the swamp and face the Florida Gators. Here we go. They face them. 6:45 on the SEC network.
This is probably going to be the best matchup we have for the week as far as besides the game of the week. A very different Florida team than we've seen or that we think of when we think Florida, Urban Meyer, Tebow, Tim Tebow, Spurrier and stuff like that. But I don't know. I think, and UCF, if I can get that right, they got pounded last week by Colorado, which was rather shocking because Gus's high-powered offense down there was really kind of handling people pretty good. Let me see my numbers here. See, and the numbers are close. Florida's 51.6% chance over the 48.4 for the Knights. I'm really not sure. Like I said, this is a super close game for. I say UCF can be that team because they're 3-1 and Florida is 2-2.
2-2.
So I'm not real sure yet.
Yeah, Florida leads 2-1 against UCF. UCF won the last matchup in 2021. So UCF does have the latest win, and it's really shocking to me these two teams play in the same state, but only played 3 times. Really a shocker to me. Pull up some Alabama in-state besides Auburn. You're not going to get much contest because they don't play in-state.
Played Jack State a couple of times in the last couple of years.
We got them back on the schedule for 2026. Yeah, 5, one or the other. We got South Alabama next year. Auburn plays Alabama State, Alabama A&M, the FCS schools. They pay these teams to come play them because Auburn supports the teams in their state. Granted, I don't know when the last time we played UAB
I can't remember time.
But yeah, that one might be the only one to me that I don't recollect. North Alabama's even on the schedule for 2028.
I promise they're an FCS that far ahead. I'm lucky to be out of bed.
Yeah, so but coming in, UCF, KJ Jefferson, RJ Harvey, Kobe Hudson. Give me UCF. I guess you'd call that an upset. I'm not sure.
Upset, but looking at the numbers, is Florida going to start Lagway or Mertz? Do we know or?
That one, I haven't. I wasn't able to find anything. Like I said, I did the research on the next game. I was able to find that, but when doing my research for the said Florida game on their quarterback situation,
and that's the thing with Napier. I don't think he really has a starter. He's running that old, hey, we're going to start with Mertz, but we're damned if we do, damned if we don't. If we get DJ Lagway in there, which I think in last week's game that they tried to do that, and I thought it upset some of their flow.
Yeah. In that game, Lagway he was perfect
in that.
Nine throws or something, but still, the flow of the game. Even though you can still be perfect and still mess up the flow of the game.
And that's the way Mertz was. He was
pretty much.
I think he was on his second drive on that series, and like on the third down, I think Napier had swapped them out, which didn't make sense to me. For not, I think it was maybe a running play that he done, or it was a quarterback run, and I think it gained like 2 or 3 yards, but it wasn't. It really off took the game flow, and I didn't understand it. But I think Florida's got a few more weapons. I mean, we know KJ Jefferson can be dangerous.
Yeah, from a couple of years he spent at Arkansas.
Well, anybody under Sam Pittman's.
But KJ Jefferson has always been that big guy, but he is decent. He's a decent quarterback. I'm not saying he was an SEC caliber quarterback, even though he did play there for 3 or 4 years. You look at his numbers were there. His win record wasn't there though. So I mean, going to a school like UCF and Gus Malzahn, Gus can pretty much develop a quarterback. He's done it multiple times.
Was he ever at Arkansas? Gus. Gus.
Who?
Arkansas.
No, he's at Arkansas State.
But I remember when before he was coming to Auburn or coming back, there was a big rumor that he might go to Arkansas State or Arkansas.
It was rumored because he's an Arkansas guy.
Ties all the way through that with his high.
So when that job opened
Pittman
up,
got it.
Yeah. When that job opened up, I think it was right on the verge of where he's getting fired or he's getting let go from Auburn. So it was about 2019, and that's when he went to UCF. And then the Arkansas position pulled up, and so everybody was thinking, oh, that's an easy choice. Gus is going to go to Arkansas and stay in the SEC. To me, it was a great decision by Gus for getting out of the SEC and going to UCF, that is in the Big 12 now.
I'm still confused with all that moving around.
Yeah, good luck if you got a calendar. I don't want it because I'm so confused about that. Oh, speaking of conference realignment, the Pac-12 has added another member. I don't know. It's a full-time member. I don't know if they have a football team or not, but the Gonzaga Bulldogs, or what are they? Bulldogs? Gonzaga is now a Pac-12 team.
They're back
as of 2026. I don't like
basketball school.
Basketball's good.
Yeah,
their basketball school. I don't know if they have a football program or not, but they are officially 2026 Pac-12
I know
team.
we're getting off topic here, but it happens. Chet Holmgren, did he play at Gonzaga? And then Adam Morrison back in the day? Yep. Okay. Oh, goofy hair Morrison. Okay. Yeah.
You're on the right track.
Real quick, who did UCF play last week? Okay.
Colorado.
I just think I'm sitting here watching it.
Yeah,
it's right there. But Colorado's a decent team. I'm not a Colorado fan by any means. I like their color scheme, but that's about it.
Yeah, that black and gray is sick, though.
Probably for my better judgment, I'm going to take the Gators here. But like I said, next week, once we get into it, or at the post show, just remind me that I talked myself into it.
Yeah. Let's move on down to one of our games of the week here. Starting up with the 5 games of the week, we have clicker will work. We have number 12, Ole Miss, traveling down to Columbia, South Carolina, to face the Gamecocks at 2:30 on ESPN.
I think this could be a good ball game, as South Carolina's defense has really been up to par, I say, this year. And flip over to the offensive side, Rocket Sanders and Lenore Sellers is going to be back. And we're going to really test Ole Miss here as far as sees what the Land Rebels and the Kiffin Sharks can get going after a loss that they took last week from Kentucky, just to, kind of see where they're at. That was a real big blow that they took. Big black eye for Lane Kiffin early in the year.
Right. Yeah, Ole Miss does lead the series at 9-8, so very close. Ole Miss took the last matchup in 2020, so here they are playing again. Could South Carolina even the series up at 9-9? That is yet to be said, but let me just give this snippet out real quick. South Carolina beat Kentucky 31-7. Kentucky beat Ole Miss 20-17. do with that as you will.
That's like, Jackson Stark. This ain't Iron Man. Yeah,
Tony Stark.
Man, there's a really lot of good players coming back in, especially since Sellers and Rocket are going to be back available for South Carolina. And Dart still has the numbers. Like I said, there were some struggles last week, and that eventually to a loss. I just don't think South Carolina's up. I think it's going to be a really good game, but I just think it's just a little too much Jackson Dart and the Ole Miss offense. So I'm taking the Rebels here.
Yeah, and as much as we talk about the great defense from South Carolina being Debo Williams, Stewart, and Kennard, they're all on the defensive line. They're all on the now it has a mind of its own. I don't know. Now they're on the defensive line. Their cornerbacks is another questionable situation. They're not going to be able to stop Trey Harris, who is the leading SEC receiver with 804 yards on the season.
He still played excellent. That little slant route that he scored for that touchdown, there was nobody within 3-4 yards of him when he made that, and he's got that run from the police speed.
Oh, jeez.
I mean,
but like I said, would I be shocked if South Carolina won? I wouldn't, because, I feel like, if you look at the numbers, hey, they got it. But if you also look at Ole Miss's numbers, they're 4-1, lost to Kentucky, South Carolina beat Kentucky, yada, yada, yada. But give me Jackson Dart and Ole Miss Rebels here.
I do like the Rebels, but like you did say, if South Carolina messes around and wins, I won't shock me. But then if they do win, that's really going to put a hurting on Ole Miss going for their playoff bid. And
because right now they're sitting on the brink of it at 12.
Again, like the Rebels, but if they do get beat, it won't shock me because of their struggles that they had last week.
Auburn travels down to Athens, Georgia for the matchup between the hedges as the number 5 Georgia Bulldogs at 2:30 on ABC.
Oh, this could be a bloodbath. As we're Auburn fans, but I mean, I say that, but then we look at last year's game, and I don't think Georgia is as talented as they were last year. But
we don't have the DBs
our
like we
back
did last
seven
year either.
Is young. Don't get to our back seven is young.
Right, like we talked about the other day. There's like 4
and it's not that they're
talented.
They're not talented. They just haven't had that play to where they're
big game experience.
Well, they're going to get it this week. Yeah.
They really going to find out what they're made of this week. But this is the how's it go, the rivalry?
See, I done picked. Yeah, Deep South's oldest
rivalry, right? Deep South oldest rivalry as Georgia leads it 64-56 with 8 ties. Also, Georgia has won the last 7 games dating back to the 2017 SEC championship.
Yeah, like I said, and I hate that, like we talked about in the post show, Thorne played good. His receivers played good. He just had that one little boo-boo. I won't say it really cost us the game, but it didn't help us win it either. Had some missed field goals, and not that I didn't jump into the post show for week 5, but I talked to a buddy of mine, and the more I got to thinking, I didn't realize why were we even throwing with 4 minutes left?
We talked about it the other day. Even Hugh Freeze has seen it, but you're in game, and I get it. Sometimes something happens in the heat of the moment, and you don't know what's happened. And you have to go back and watch and be like, hey, man, why didn't I do this?
Yeah.
With us, we go back and we listen to this and be like, what we said or what we could have said in this situation or what we forgot to say or I didn't even know you said that. That's funny right there. We do that to ourselves. And, he did it this past week and he said, I don't understand why I'm throwing the ball here. We have a lead. We should just be methodically moving the ball down the field. but you got to see that in game if you want to win
like
in the
I said,
SEC.
Robert pointed it out to me, and like I said, I didn't notice it until I got to thinking about it, and I said, we shouldn't even been throwing right there. If anything, take the 3 and out, punt the ball, pin them deep, because Oscar Chapman can kick the laces off a ball to begin with. So,
Ozzy.
So,
oi. The numbers say 91% in favor of the Georgia Bulldogs, but that 8%. That 8%.
It's such a good rivalry, and it's this rivalry is even older than the Iron Bowl. So as much as it,
if
as much as it chagrins me, I don't even know if that's a word.
I don't think it is. I think you just made up something. If it's not in Webster's, you just made it up.
I just maybe Auburn can maybe play well and have a good drives, but I just see it being too much, against this Georgia team. And yes, Georgia struggled against Alabama, most definitely that first half. But then you've seen the toothface of Georgia on that second half as they come out and played lights out. Just not enough to beat Alabama because Alabama is just running at high octane.
Yeah, if you can see on our screen, it's the JP from Angels in the Outfield saying
it could happen, but I don't think it's going to. So I'm gonna take the Bulldogs.
I'm gonna take the Bulldogs as well.
Hey, but if there is an upset, I'll be in for it. So
definitely. Now we're moving on to our last 3 game of the weeks. As number 4 Tennessee travels down to Arkansas to face the Razorbacks at 6:30 on ABC.
Arkansas. I again, this is not lopsided as far as the Auburn and Georgia game, but Tennessee had that off week, and I really just think they went back into preparation and fine tuning that high powered offense that they've got. I'm not saying that Tennessee's getting upset by any means. Arkansas still has a good players to make it a game, but Tennessee's just done way too much. Is how good they looked against Oklahoma as far as jumping into SEC play.
Yeah, and as Tennessee leads the series 13-16, but Arkansas has the last 3 wins dating back to 2011, and the last matchup was in 2020.
That's a fun fact, but there's way different teams than they were.
Agreed. I agree, fact. But like you said, it's just a fun fact to have. It's from my pulling of actually doing notes this week.
Right.
You see what I can
take what you can get, right?
Right. Small
slide the ESPN screen up a little bit so I can take a look. Not chat. I don't want to whisper. Taylor Green and Jaquindon Johnson have been a really good duo this year. I just don't think it's enough. I mean, and maybe we can see some bright things from them. But Sir Nico and Sampson, they have just, man, I can't get more out of it than how Mr. Carter's Tennessee Vols don't do anything but win here.
Yeah, and it's a 6:30 game. It's a night game at Razorback Stadium.
I don't think that really matters for Tennessee.
I don't think it does either. The high energy, high voltage, high octane offense from the Volunteers. But let's not forget about their defense. On their defensive side, they have the number 1 rated player inside the 2025 mock draft. Pierce Jr. is one of the best defensive players there is this season inside the SEC as well. So it's going to be, I figure him behind that defensive line and going up against Arkansas's offensive line, he could have a pretty big game for the Volunteers here.
Yeah, like I said, their defense definitely matches their offense as far as making tackles, coming up on big third down plays. So I see, and I had a doctor's appointment the other day, and the doctor was asking me about it. He got real involved in it, and he's a Tennessee guy. He says, "What do you think?" And I told him, I said, "We're not out of the realm of Tennessee going into the SEC championship with this play."
No, you're not. SEC championship. Okay, I won't give them the SEC championship this year. They might get like a 10 or 11 seed inside the playoffs. Yes, I will give them that because they still got to play Alabama. I don't know if they play Georgia or Texas this year. So, Georgia and Texas are next week, which is a big one and people say, that's a big one for SEC championship wide. They both can still both get inside the playoffs. Yes, Georgia loses. It hurts them a lot, but a two-loss SEC team still could get in.
Most definitely, especially your Georgias and Tennessees. And, and I think Tennessee's one of them top teams. Like you said, maybe not the SEC championship, but I'm looking on the higher end for the Vols. I think like I said, I don't know if they play Georgia, but I think they can beat Georgia. The Tennessee-Alabama game is going to be crazy, as it usually, always is. So, and especially if Ole Miss loses again, I think they're definitely out of contention for that.
Yeah, so if you can see here, if you are on our visual through Facebook or through YouTube, you see they do play Alabama and then they do play Georgia later on in the season. So winning one or both of them games for Tennessee should get them inside the playoff.
If not winning both games, gets them into the SEC championship.
Definitely winning both games gets them inside the SEC championship game because that'd be Alabama, first loss. Georgia, to me, third, knocks them out of everything. Texas.
Yeah, and as we talk, we forget about the other big school here is Texas, and they've played a little bit better opponents, but they haven't got into the Auburns, not the Auburns, but the Tennessees and the Georgias yet. So,
no.
We really don't know that much about them. Yes, we know that their high-powered quarterbacks are there, but once you're playing like this Vols defense or that Alabama defense, it's a whole different ball game to see where Ewers is Ewers going to be back next week after.
Yeah, he's
okay.
Back
so then, and not that saying that having Manny or Arch wouldn't be a bad issue, Uncle Peyton's team. So, but no, at the end of this one, I think it's just going to be too much, and it's going to be the Vols.
Yeah, I do too. I have the Tennessee Volunteers here, but just looking ahead, when trying to go off track as we wait on our special guest picker to show up. We're doing the first ever live special guest picker here on the show. He will be coming in shortly, so we're just trying to extend it till he gets out here. But going back into the SEC contention, Tennessee or Texas, Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama, 4 top teams right now that are looking for, you can throw Ole Miss in there, but I think the Kentucky loss was a game they had to win to keep them in contention for the SEC championship, in my opinion. Losing that Kentucky game for Ole Miss, to me, knocked them out. So you're down to 4 teams now. Not saying that Alabama lost against Georgia hurt Georgia's chance of getting inside the SEC championship game. Just the numbers go down.
I think any 2-loss team for the SEC is really going to kind of put you on the outside of that. But unless it just works out, everybody has 1 loss. Because I don't see them top 4 teams losing a second game. As far as Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama, Yeah.
I think the hardest test to get there is Tennessee have to play Alabama and Georgia, though.
Yeah.
Texas only plays Georgia. Alabama plays Tennessee and Georgia, but they've already beat Georgia. So, who's not saying Tennessee can't make the SEC championship game? And it could be, I figured Texas. I think Texas is a lock. I really do. I think when they beat Georgia, it'll show like, hey, they're a lock for the SEC championship game.
They have to beat Georgia. Their schedule's not really favoring. Yeah,
Yeah, that's why I said if they beat, when they,
Yeah, their
if and when
schedule
they
hasn't
beat Georgia.
favored too much these higher teams yet, but it's coming. Like I said, once we get into the mid-grind of the SEC, it's going to be contenders and pretenders definitely for that. Get my Alabama.
Yeah. Well, as we're still waiting, we're going to divvy away from the Tennessee chatter because that just kind of makes me
Tennessee
sick.
don't bother me that much.
Well, it don't, but I know some people don't like to hear 10 or so minutes
Sheldon
on
does.
Tennessee. But, yeah, well, like we said, it's a big week, and, we're still waiting on special guest picker. And, these next two games, they're pretty good. Our interstate game of the week is one for not a lot of people favor because it's not really a big matchup. It usually goes one way or the other. But I think to me and to our special guest picker, it holds a different place inside college football together, just right outside the SEC because of our backgrounds.
Most definitely. But did he get lost?
I think he's driving. He said he's about to hit an exit.
This is
so
why we can't have nice things.
Well, he thought 11:15. I said, I think I said
it wouldn't surprise me if y'all.
It could be on me as well. Yeah, that was on me.
Why?
Yeah. Well, we figured, we were going to record later like we have been, but due to circumstances today, we started a little bit earlier. Right.
What's I'm doing?
Well.
So, let's try to jump in. Where are we looking at on the injury report for anybody got? I know that LSU lost their linebacker last week or so.
Yes.
That was not very favorable for them, but I still think not Ole Miss, LSU.
Not. Yeah. Yeah. LSU lost was Harold Perkins Jr., which was big. You losing the caliber guy like that it hurts in
especially
any
a
situation.
Team on the bubble of being that really standout SEC team.
Yeah. This is last week's.
Well, still. So I know that once the guest picker gets here, we'll have more to talk about. But I know, did you happen to catch the game 1 of the San Diego series with the Braves? A little bit of extra content here. How about that home run that Tatis hit? That's what I told Brittany. He swung out of his shoes. First pitch.
Yeah. If you're ready, he's ready.
That's not him.
As we welcome our special guest picker.
I don't know, buddy.
All right, so Brandon, thank you for joining us as being our special guest picker today.
Yes, sir.
We're going to go over 2 games with you. Usually we go over one. It's usually just the game of the week, but your ties to this game, we want a little bit more insight from you.
Why you're here?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
might as well.
So our interstate game of the week, making coincidence you are on the interstate as we speak.
Absolutely.
Navy versus Air Force at 11 a.m. on the CBS for the first leg of the Commander-in-Chief Trophy. Tell us about it.
This game's probably going to end up being pretty ugly. Air Force they're down this year. I mean, they're 1-3. The only win they've got is over
who?
CS Maryland.
Exactly. The Mary Maids of Maryland.
Exactly. Then you've got Navy over here. They're sitting 4-0. They just came off a big win over Memphis and UAB. I mean, they're averaging 49 points a game. Blake Horvath. I mean, he's
Oh,
something else as far as what you can get at a service academy.
yeah, Horvath.
Right.
He's dual threat kid.
Yeah, because he does. Yeah, he
But
lead.
I mean,
Yeah,
he's
he
been
is
good
their
this year.
leading passer and rusher, which is weird to say that Navy has a dual threat quarterback. But I watched some of their game last week and watched some of their caps. Man, he really can do it all. Like you said, for the service academy, it's hard to get
Yeah.
really outstandish players like Horvath. Get that right. Yeah, same. That's what
Same.
when Brittany was watching the game, that's what she said. Did they say Horvath? I said, sounded close enough to me.
But yeah, I mean, and then you've got another thing on the Air Force side. They've got 7 turnovers already this year. I mean, they're averaging almost 2 a game.
Have you watched Auburn play this year?
I know somebody has a better margin than that.
Sorry.
I've seen that a little bit. But I mean, they have offense or defense really to speak of. I mean, it's
so obvious choice.
this year.
You're going with Navy.
Absolutely taking Navy. I think it's gonna be somewhere in the realm of
Yeah. I mean, like you said, their lowest scoring game this year was 38 against Temple. So
yeah,
Marty, what you got?
Seeing what they did against Memphis.
Yeah, and I watched the UAB game just to watch UAB and see what their uniforms are going to be this week. I like Navy. I think
I haven't seen them.
Not for this game, no. But the ones they had against.
Okay. Usually they do that big for Army.
Oh, I don't know. I haven't because I don't know which one of the. I don't know how do you say it, Todd or Brandon, is the Armed Forces teams as Army, Navy, and stuff. But I know one team. Service academies. I know one team was going back to the old.
Yeah.
No, that might have been Notre Dame. That was doing like the leather helmets.
No,
but I just get confused. But they were doing like a leather helmet scheme going back to the old days with like the old jersey kind of scheme. But no,
I think
I think so too. Now that I've opened my mouth and put my foot in it,
I do remember that. That's a couple
I think
years
they
ago,
were talking about bringing it back again for either this year or next year because Notre Dame was trying to mix it up, which they hardly don't do a whole lot. But no. Exactly. Now, hopefully we do get – I don't see Air Force doing a crazy uniform, and Navy might not either. But for them, I like Navy's color scheme. I like that blue and goldish that they carry. So, yeah, I just don't see any way others than Notre Dame. God almighty, I've done it again. Navy, yeah, it had an N in it. I got confused. My hooked on phonics wasn't working.
Yeah. So Marty, who do
you got to be careful if it starts leaning now.
Yeah, I like Navy here.
So Air Force leads the all-time series 34-22, and has won the last 4 matchups. But Air Force has won the Commander-in-Chief's trophy 22 times, and Navy has won it 16 times, all since the trophy was established in 1972.
Fairly young rivalry there, I guess.
Yeah, it is, but like I said, Air Force has the advantage here, but this year, give me Navy.
So, Todd, break down. We talked, and I had no idea since I have no partake in military thing, how the Commander-in-Chief's trophy works for the not so average or more than SEC fan. Let's put it that way.
All right, so the Commander-in-Chief trophy runs on 3 legs. Like Greg. The first leg is usually the first matchup. It's always the first matchup, and this year it's Navy and Air Force. That's the first. It's the first leg. Second leg will be Air Force and Army, and then the third leg, as we all know, is the great matchup at the end of the season between Army and Navy. The two best service academies. Right. No bias, but go Army.
We'll agree this year.
Well, it's thank you, Brandon, for that great insight on the Commander-in-Chief's trophy and the Army Air Force Navy Air Force game. Sorry, But let's get
Hey,
into our
I've had
game
one
of
more
the week.
stat that we talked about for this game. It's not a stat, but it's a little fun fact about Navy's field. Isn't?
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
I was playing college football yesterday, and I realized on the 27-yard line that they had a gold 27 on both ends of the field. And I thought, that's crazy. That's got to be some kind of reference to some Army, Navy, God Almighty, Navy thing. I've done it again.
Got it too.
So, and I kept on, and then didn't until we got on that. What was the guy's name? Joe Bellino.
Joe Bellino.
I believe is their only Heisman winner, and he passed away back in 2019. And I don't know if there's just started this year, but they honor him by putting the 27 on the field, which I think is great. It was a fun fact that I didn't know, even playing the video game, that I learned that and how cool that was.
Yeah, I didn't know about that actually.
That was I just thought it was weird because I remember, like, when I know another sport, but when Earnhardt died, everybody held the 3 up around lap 3 and that kind of, and just fun little tidbits, like they wear uniform patches for whoever. But I think that was a great for the Navy to put that on their field to honor, not first of all, but a serviceman, but a Heisman Trophy winner from the Academy. Now we can move on. Now that was getting on me. I was trying to get that out.
Now we're going into the Under Review Podcast Game of the Week as the number 9 Missouri Tigers travel down to Kyle Field to face the number 25 Texas A&M Aggies, 11 a.m. on ABC.
I think we're going to be in for a good ball game here. Missouri is still definitely not drinking their Kool-Aid, and I think this is going to be their first test on this side. Again, I've said it since the beginning of the year since Marcel Reed has come in, he's done great things for them, keeping them still at a 4-1, 2-0 in the conference. That's the biggest thing.
Leads the conference.
Shocking.
Actually,
you never thought you'd hear that, and and with Le'Veon Moss and Marcel Reed, I think they're going to keep it close. We've seen Missouri have had 2 struggle wins this year. So I think it could make for a good ball game early on, being it's the wake-up game at 11.
Brandon?
Absolutely. You got Missouri coming off. They had to buy after Vandy. Hopefully they got things sorted out because, I don't know what's going on in Tennessee this year, but Vandy's not bad. They took it to double overtime. Should have won that game, honestly.
Should have won in regular time.
Yeah, they gifted it to them. But that was, Missouri's just, honestly, I think, yes, they're overrated, but they are a little better than what I thought they were. After looking at some things. But if they can get Burden on track and use him explosively with some long plays, they have the possibility to bust this game open. But on the same side of that, you've got A&M, who without Wigman, is that his?
Connor Weichman.
Yes. Without him, they're kind of restricted to a running game right now. But he's just not, Reed's not getting it done through the air. His completion percentage isn't there. But what's the status on Wegman? Where's he at?
He's still out this week. I think they said
he is confirmed out for this week.
Yeah.
Okay.
It should be another week or so, I think they said, with him. But I think from what I read yesterday, he said that he was out for this week. But he return soon. We'll see.
So with that, A&M, they just came off the Arkansas, drug to the fourth quarter. That's with the talent they have, that shouldn't be an issue. You get Moss down there, who's should have a breakout game.
He's due for a 100-yard plus game anytime.
Yeah, and A&M can win this game if they can stop Noah running the ball, and then they can put some pressure on Cook and maybe force a couple turnovers, there's a chance they can win this and avoid the big play.
With Cook's
But,
only got one. Cook's only got one interception, so I'm not going to say he's overdue. He's looking at within 70 yards of getting to 1,000 yards. So that means he's putting the ball in the air. He's threw the ball 134 times and completed 92. So I think it's a good possibility. If that A&M defense can, like you said, shake him and get him, make some turnovers, with this game still being close by the margin, I think it's 51-48 game.
There's what, like 2.5 points spread on this game?
Let the number, man. It's
2.5.
That's all numbers to me. So
2.5 points in favor of Texas A&M.
Yeah. In favor of A&M?
That's what it says. -2.
Oh, okay. But I think,
Interesting.
Missouri's offensive line has not faced a defensive line that's anywhere near what A&M is. So that's going to be a challenge for them. But I really think it's going to turn out to be probably a low scoring
like a 19-20,
game.
21, something like that.
And it's probably somewhere 24-20, something. Yeah, somewhere in that range. I don't think it goes. I think it's going to be a time possession game. Keep the ball on the ground. Keep it
Somebody tell Hugh Freeze that.
That's coming from the same man who picked Ole Miss by like 30-something last week.
You're right. I mean, hey,
yes, sir.
Right.
I called him out. And he turned around and just proved everything I said wrong.
But I'm starting to notice a lot of that this year is not per se just us, but even the ESPN guys, the SEC Nation guys. This year's been so crazy that the games that should be closer, these people are supposed to have these electric games, is they get shut down like Kentucky shut down Dart, the LSU South Carolina game with Mutzenberger or Nuttenberger or whatever is close enough. So I think it's.
I really don't think Kentucky's defense is getting the credit they deserve. They're a lot better than what people think.
They're not a top Tennessee, Alabama, Georgia defense, but they are, like you said, they are way better, just above that mark of being the bottom team as far as defense, because they can really fly to the ball.
Yeah. And on that same note, Missouri, I mean, their defense, what are they, the number 3 defense in the country right now? I mean, it's...
No.
I
don't have that.
To me,
I mean, I think they're allowing like 12 points a game, but who have they played offensively to really?
That's what I was about to get into. If they are, that's like, we jump back to the Ole Miss real quick. Is they've played all these cupcakes, and then they finally get a piece of beef jerky and they get bit. So that's really good analogy, but I think that could be here too as well with Mizzou, is they haven't, their last 5 games: Vandy, Boston College, Buffalo, Murray State, and Ohio State. But that was back in 2023. I just don't. Again, like I've said it 3 or 4 times, I'm not drinking their Kool-Aid until they prove to me that. Now, if they come out and blitz the piss out of Texas A&M and beat them by 20 or 30, I might take a little drink, but I'm still not on their train. Not saying that they're going to lose this game, but I think Texas A&M can hang in there with them and throw punches with them.
Right. It's going to be a ball game. It's going to come down to maybe the last 2-3 possessions. It's just going to be one of those games. I mean, A&M has faced a little bit more adversity as far as the teams they played with Arkansas.
And then they had not saying that Florida is any better, because they beat them 33-20. So
I mean, they're down there playing quarterback carousel. So I mean,
that drives me nuts. The offensive rhythm in Florida is. Yeah. Speaking of Florida, I know. Super side note: that Aaron Hernandez documentary that they got going on is pretty good, Bubba. Need to check out that one.
I haven't sat down and watched it yet. Is it a
It's a
documentary
show.
or is it
The
is it a
documentary
show?
come out
What?
by This is by FX. This is a show. It's I think me and Brittany's in 3 or 4 episodes, but it's actually
Okay, yeah.
super good. Anyway, side note, just I know that we like the shenanigans of Aaron Hernandez.
Oh
But
yeah. I mean,
Before we get
it's not gonna be anything like
no,
G
no, it
leg the
ain't.
third leg, but
That
G-Rig.
7-4 clue in Miami.
That's the
boy, them boys
before
were
we get
wild.
before we get into our picks, I do have one more stat to go over. In the all-time series, Texas A&M leads 9-7, with Texas A&M winning the last game in 2021. So, Brandon, who you got?
With Reed starting at quarterback, I'm gonna take Mizzou here. Like I said, it's gonna be a low scoring game. Might as well say 24-20. Um, and I just don't think that he can put it together enough to overcome Mizzou.
Most definitely. And
Marty?
first of all, I do like your pick because you gave them hell last week and picked them for 9-1 in the games that we had. I thought,
Well, I finally got to sit down and do a little bit of because I mean I've
yeah,
always picked by the numbers. I mean we've been doing
yeah.
this 3-4 years now.
3, yeah.
I've always sat down, analyzed the numbers, and said, look, okay, well here's
Yeah,
what's
I looked at it.
the numbers aren't
Yeah.
once you get out of those cutback
No,
games,
no,
the
no.
numbers don't lie.
Well, like I said, I looked at it because I've been first the last 2 weeks and checking my picks. And of course, I picked Auburn and they beat me again. And I said, who is 9-1? And then I asked Todd who that was. He said, that's Brandon. I said, golly, bum. Yeah. And then after he said it was you, I said, well, that doesn't surprise me one bit. But no,
Yeah, well, Kentucky got me.
was that your loss?
Yeah, that was it. Vandergrift bit me
I think
in the
it
rear
got
end
everybody. But jump back on this real quick. I think you had the best. I just don't think it's quite enough for A&M with Cook doing things. And Marcel Reed's a great quarterback. And I just don't I don't think he has that number. So I'm going to take the Tigers.
For me, it's,
I knew that was coming.
give me the Aggies.
And with that's not a bad pick. That's really not a bad pick because I like the upset. I like the underdog teams, and that's. And I probably should have picked Texas A&M, and I might go back and change it before then. But on record, it's Mizzou. I think they are one of our pick'em games this week. So
yes, definitely. To me, I like Marcel Reed. I like what he's been doing since he came in for Connor Wakeman. The first game was a little shaky for him, which for a true freshman coming in, it's understandable. But with having Le'Veon Moss right beside him in that backfield adds more experience to him with Le'Veon Moss being back there. Now, granted, Brady Cook and Nate Noel, then you got Theo Wees and Luther Burden III. Well, see ya. And then Luther Burden III, all just on that wide receiver core, and just that offense is very explosive. But Texas A&M,
you go.
Huh? Yeah, I don't know what happened. Probably lost connection or something. But to me, Missouri, I don't think they can get it. Give me Texas A&M.
Like I said, that's still definitely not a bad pick for this game. I don't think you can really have a one-sided affair here with this game because it's so close. Quarterback play for teams has been really stellar. So I'm still wavering on it, but for to put on paper, I got Mizzou, and I might change it in our pick'em. But
well, that's all our games we have. What a great episode. Thank you for Brandon for jumping on and joining us, and the abrupt leaving. You don't know what happened. Probably got a phone call or something, but we appreciate his insight on those two games, especially him being
welcome.
There he is. Hey, buddy, you're back. We was just wrapping everything up here. I finished talking about Texas A&M, but we did want to thank you for joining us today and having you on here.
I think he's having technical difficulties.
That's what it looks like. I think he's trying to get his volume.
Bueller.
Anywho, wait for a minute. But what a great episode. What a pretty decent lineup of games we have going on this week. I don't think this week will beat last week's games, Just a stellar performance last week.
Yeah.
Just put it on the pedestal, just up there.
Again, let's. I think we didn't probably have as much as we did last week, but we sure appreciate all the fans' involvement through our Facebook page and whatnot. The texts and comments we've got, super love it, guys. Keep that coming. We enjoy taking the time to get back to you and see your thoughts on a whole lot of stuff. Guess who's back?
Hey, there he is.
Sorry. Yeah, my phone was on my mount. The sun got too hot.
Got a little warm.
Yeah, tech guy.
That makes the most sense.
Like I said.
But I don't know if y'all covered this or not. Back to that A&M game. I just realized they're playing at Kyle Field.
Okay, see that changes my ball game. Give me Texas A&M. I did. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, now that I've looked at that, that's I think that's enough to go in their favor to change the game.
Yeah.
What happened? Sorry.
Yeah. Can you hear now, Todd? Okay.
Yeah, I can hear now. Something's going on my ears.
We're both changing.
Yeah. So that was.
Full sweep.
I think that's enough to sway it.
Yeah.
Yeah. As we wrap up, we do want to thank you, Brandon, for taking the time out of your very busy day to join us here and run through our games, And so, as we get off, we're going to run through our stuff and, want to say a special thanks to our sponsor, Chuck's Heating and Air, as always. And then special thanks to, like I said, Brandon for being here and our special guest picker and is helping us through everything that we have going on. Hunter and Nicholas Adams over at the Dad Pod, Hayden Coker and Hayden Coker Media and the Hayden Coker Show, and then Judd Dickinson for everything that he does for all. We love y'all. And it's just what y'all are giving us just helps us out tremendously in everything that we do. And as we wrap it up, just always remember, God loves you. We love you here at the Under Review Podcast. And thanks for listening. As always, we will see you when we go under the monitor.
Thanks for having me.